Hi, everyone. As you know, we just finished benchmarks, and as a consequence of that, we will soon be unpacking Case 21 reports. Um, Please know that the Case 21 data is not any different than the existing data you already have in Mastery Connect. So we encourage you to go ahead and disaggregate the data that you have through the item analysis report, the student mastery report, and the teacher comparison, which you already know we've done work with. We did work with in our teams last time, and so go ahead and be interacting with that data, and feel free to compare it to the first CDA and this benchmark. However, so we know cases, the data itself is not any different, but the context is a little different. So case 21 is aligned to the EOG and kind of gives us a little more context around what our data means within its connection to the EOG. So I want to make sure that everybody's on the same page as far as language with the case 21 report, and knowing how to access all that it gives you. So let's start here on the far left under the total outcomes section. So on this first part, it says percent correct. That is as it seems, what percentage correct. Then the projected achievement level. So that is, again, like EOG connection. So would this kid have made a 4, a 3, a 5, or would they be not proficient, 2 and 1? If you need some context around that, I'm just going to quickly show you this graph, and you'll get a hard copy of this as well. So if a kid is in grade 3, in order to be considered proficient, they need to make 75% or more, an ELA that is. If a kid is going to be proficient in grade 4, 73% or higher, grade 5, 71% or higher. Anything lower than those percentages, they would be considered not proficient. And a kid doesn't necessarily get a 1 or 2 label anymore. It's just 1 or 2 is not proficient. So 3 is your proficiency rate. If they're in math, the proficiency rate is 57% or higher, grade 4, 55% or higher, and grade 5, 52% or higher. So there's some context for you. Going back to our first column, total outcomes. So there's that third column, suggested marks, and that's sort of just like a letter equivalent, right? Kind of giving us some of our usual context, like how can I equate this to a letter grade? The DOK results, depth of knowledge results, is just rigor level. So depth of knowledge 1 obviously is your easiest level. If you see this N equals 8, that's the number of questions at that rigor level. So there were 8 questions at a DOK 1 level. There were 16 questions at a DOK 2 level and 6 questions at a DOK 3 level. The numbers at the bottom are where things got a little hairy for me. So those are EOG averages for that category of depth of knowledge level. So like, for instance, if we look at the very first student, Michael Allen would have averaged at about a 3 for those 8 questions. He would have averaged at about a 3 for those 16 DOK2 questions. And then he would have averaged about a 2 for the depth of knowledge 3 questions, the more rigorous questions. And that's a trend that sort of makes sense, right? Like, he's doing more successfully on the easy ones. If you have a kid that's sort of an outlier for that, which does happen, I think on this particular report, if you look at Roberto, he's like an example of that, where he's got 3, 3, and 4. You might be asking yourself, what's going on there? Was that just random? Is this kid a really strong critical reasoner and maybe sometimes gets over reflective on the easy questions? Kind of goes, oh, am I second guessing myself? So being mindful of that. The other thing I want to make sure that I draw attention to, that I want to go back to, on the projected achievement level under total outcomes, notice the pluses and the minuses. Those are just sort of like ways to signify and symbolize which kids are on the cusp of really being pushed, who's kind of in the middle, and who's not. So like, for instance, within like the number 2, the 2 plus, 2, and 2 minus, that might be a 10 to 15